what kind of interviews these are, what kind of questions being asked, and how to approach these interviews, that I'll talk about. So as all of you know and understand that in these kind of rounds, mostly they ask data structures like it could be array, it could be map, it could be tree, it could be linked list, these kind of questions, or maybe heap, or but the different, every different kind of data structure that we have. So they always ask questions around that, and they create a problem statement out of it, and they ask you to solve it. Now, what is the expectation from the interviewer? So sometimes the interviewer, as these are the early interviews, and a solution or optimal solution can be provided, so they all, most of the time, they expect you to come up with a solution, and like some of the time with the most optimal solution, and then you have to write the code. Some companies prefer that you have to run the code as well, but not all. Some companies is also fine if you just write the code and it works. You can just do the dry run, you don't have to run it. Now, how to approach the questions? So when the question is given to you, it's don't directly jump into the optimal part of it. You just try with the very basic or brute force solution that you know or you can come up with. Once you come up with the brute force solution, then you have enough confidence to move ahead. Then try to optimize it and give the solution to the interviewer. Don't, even if you are not, if you are not 100% sure that in first go you can write the very optimal solution, don't go for it. Okay, let's come to the second part, that is the system design round. So this round is a little bit different from the first one. As I said, in the first one, always possible to provide a right solution, but in system design there is no right or wrong solution. So there are trade-offs, saying that okay, if I design the system like this, it may work for certain scenarios or certain use cases, but for different use cases maybe the design is different. And so there could, so if you think about different platforms like Flipkart, so they sell products, right? If you think about a platform like Hotstar or Netflix or YouTube, so what they do they stream videos. So the latency that needs, the bandwidth it needs, the internet speed it needs, the way the data should be transferred is actually different for all of these. So when a question asked to you, first thing you should do is basically clarify everything. Every piece of details you need to be clarified, right? Once you have all these details, try to come up with the basic solution. Don't jump into okay, I need a load balancer, I'll add a load balancer, I'll need proxy server. Don't come up with these things initially. Just create a structure, basic structure, like you need a server, you need to a user to hit the server, you need some data in the database, and that's all. Once you feel okay, it looks good, then add the complexity on top of it. That what if I have millions of users? What if I have billions of users? Okay. And again, in system design interviews, there could be two different things. Like it could be HLD. So HLD means high level design, or LLD, low level design. So low level design, mostly people expect you to define the APIs, and sometime you need to write the object oriented structure, like maybe design a parking lot. So what objects, what classes, what interfaces you need. And then they come up with follow-up questions. Is it extendable? So again, in the low level design also, first try to draw everything, like I need these 5 classes to design a parking lot, let's say. And then after providing this solution, then say that, okay, if I add this part as a complexity, okay, then I need to modify the design here. I need two more classes, and the structure of these two classes would be little different, right? So in system design round, don't ever bother about whether your solution is correct or not, because there is no correct solution. But rather you should say there are three options: option 1, option 2, and option 3. Option 1 works for this use case, option 2 works for this use case, option 3 works for this use case. Now ask the interviewer a question like, okay, if you have a use case, maybe I can say which one works better, right? So you provide all the trade-offs of each of your design and ask the interviewer which one would be most suitable according to his use case, or what is the use case, right? So this is how system design round works, and the expectation from the interviewer is not to have a design which will work in production. So the idea here is to understand how comfortable you are adding complexities to the system and how you actually solve those complexities. And if you can provide 2-3 different trade-offs, that would be really enough for cracking that interview. Let's move to the third round. So the third round is hiring manager. So this is a again little different than other two. In this round, the manager may ask you some technical questions. Mostly what they do, they ask questions from your current project if you are an experienced candidate. If you are from college, then they may ask from your college projects as well to understand. So the idea of this round is to understand whether whatever you have done till date, what you claim, whether you understand those details correctly or not. So if you say, okay, I have designed a hotel website, okay, so they may ask all the details like how you have designed, why you have designed the database this way, why not the other way, and everything, so that they can understand that whether you are creating a story out of it or really you have designed that part, and how in details you understand those specifics. Okay. Other than that, in this round, they ask some questions which are kind of scenario based, like tell me a scenario when you faced a deadline, like critical deadline, and how have you managed it? Or maybe tell me a scenario when there were conflicts in a team and then you manage that scenario. So those are situational questions, so that they try to understand if a certain situation comes, how you will react to that situation, whether you will panic in a hard deadline, or you will try to like convince people, okay, this is a hard deadline, I'll try to complete it, but there may be scenarios I may miss 10% of the features. So they try to understand those part. The fourth that comes, so some of the FANG companies and other big MNCs also started taking this interview. They call it culture fit. So the goal of this round is to understand how you fit into their culture. Some companies have like a work which is going slowly over a year, over 2 years, and something like that. Some companies have aggressive strategies, so they want to deliver things very fast. So whether you will be able to cope up with this culture or not. And in this round also, it could be of 30 minutes to 1 hour. They will ask you all these questions, like the same what I said in hiring manager, like if you have critical deadline, what you will do, if there is any conflict with a manager, or maybe your architect with design decisions, how you will convince. You have developed something, and after 6 months things are not working well, what you will do. So all these situation based questions will be asked in this round as well. and they are also trying to understand mentally whether you fit with this culture or not. So if all of these goes well, I guess the goal that you started with, like getting the job, you are in the right path.